All right, well, what a rigged World Series game tonight. But I'm actually going to make a video about that after this, or maybe in a couple videos. Wanted to point out something I've been talking about a lot about the Miami connections to the Nebraska Cornhuskers and the number 91 and whatnot. I just made a video the other night where I talked about Cameron Wake of the Miami Dolphins, who is number 91, who now has a torn Achilles. And then the game before, I've mentioned a lot of 41 and 91. April 1st is 4-1. It's also the 91st day of the year, so 41 and 91 go together, and also their mirrors, 14 and 19. I also made a video on the Nebraska Cornhusker game when they played Miami. It was the one that went to overtime, or the score was 33-33 with 33 seconds left. I talked about the two players that got thrown out for targeting. The one guy's last name was Bush, the other one was Carter. They kept showing another guy whose last name was Burns with Bush all the time, so it was like Burning Bush. And Moses, Abraham Lincoln is tied to Nebraska. Lincoln, Nebraska, they both add up to 60, whatever. But Lincoln freed the slaves just like Moses. So, and then the Burning Bush. But interesting, the two players that got thrown out for targeting were Bush and Carter. George Bush is 91 years old this year. Carter turned 91 years old 111 days after George Bush did. Interesting, it was the 111th World Series that just ended tonight too. And the day that Jimmy Carter turned 91 was the same day of the Roseburg, Oregon shooting, a day with 91 days left until the end of the year. So anyway, I wish I had more time. I don't have time to watch all of these rigged, coded games or whatever. However it works. It's so insane. I wish I had more time, but I don't. But one of the big things that I noticed last night on the TV at the bar when I was DJing was this Miami Hurricane game. And there was a big, whatever you call it, flea flicker or whatever, thing at the very end of the game with 6 seconds left. Miami went all the way down the field and scored a touchdown. It was a big old deal. But when you read in here, it says Corn Elder returned for 91 yards for a touchdown. Interesting. So 91 yards. Talked about this, Deborah, like I said. Cameron Wake, number 91, just went out. 91 seemed like somewhat of an elimination number. Also interesting. They played number 22, which I mentioned multiple times this year. I mentioned when Northwestern was number 22. Nebraska played BYU the first game of the season. BYU was number 22. Then BYU played Michigan, who beat them and then became number 22. A bunch of stuff with that. I'm not going to go that much more into that, but I want to show you this play and just show you some stuff on there. All right, so here's the play. I'm going to play it, but also wanted to point out, I talked about it in this video too, where the guy that returns the ball then for the 91 yards to score is Corn Elder. I talked about how it was a play on Nebraska, the Corn Huskers and whatnot. But I'm just going to play the play, and then I'll talk a little bit more about it.
Hold on. Miami, off the squib kick, would end up lateraling this thing 8 times, starting with Dallas Crawford to Corn Elder, and it appears Mark Walton's knee maybe now. We're going to check that out in a second, but forget about that right now. The play continues. Eventually, it's like they keep going back, and then, here we go. The lateral is going to shift to the other side. There we go. See, back to the 10, and we're going back again. We're down to the 3. That's 7 laterals, and here it comes. There's a big block at the 30, the 35 to the 40. To midfield. He's still going. It's Corn Elder. He's at the 40-yard line. Oh, my God. He's on now. He's at the 20. He's at the 10. At the 5. He scores. Corn Elder scores.
All right, so there's the play. Corn Elder was the one who scored. Read through this article here. They talk about the actual score. It says, what everyone will remember is the madcap finish which lasted for 49 seconds and wasn't completely decided until a 9-minute review. So, a 9-minute review in the fourth, 49 or 94. Also, it lasted for 49 seconds. You just can't make this up here. Look at the player who scored the gematria of his name, Corn Elder. 49. Also, in simple gematria, 94, the mirror of 49. So literally, I mean, come on, what are the odds of that? The article also mentions how they just fired their coach, Al Golden, after last week when they got their worst loss in school history, 58-0. Well, Al Golden, his real name is Alfred Golden. Check out Alfred Golden in Gematria. 58. Go figure, they lost by 58. He got fired. His name adds up to 58 in Gematria. He's even 46 years old. I mentioned 46 the other day, how I talked about 91, I think was some type of an elimination number, and he got fired or whatever. Cameron Wake got hurt. Interesting that they would win with a 91-yard thing, though. So, I mean, I could be wrong. Just want to point out some of the things that I found interesting, I guess. But 46, the reason I mentioned that was because Chicago Cubs adds up to 46 and also 91. Chicago's even on, I think, 41 degrees north. Even Chicago adds up to 46. There's a ton of other connections I've talked about in other videos, but just that was the gist of like what I was getting at, I guess. Also, it says that when he was a player, he played at Penn State until the year 1991. And I've also mentioned about Penn State and how it tied into the Nebraska Cornhuskers with the guy from the movie Herbie the Love Bug dying. Nebraska's mascot is Herbie. So I knew Nebraska was going to have a bad season this year. Interesting, too, it says that his record then when he got fired was 59-59 as a coach. 59 is the kill number as well. So he got fired after 59 wins, 59 losses. Even born on the 4th of July. I mean, you know, lots of people are born on the 4th of July, but pretty interesting. Also, in regards to the 59-59, I wanted to point out, too, I've been talking about, it's all the stuff leads back to Pope Francis. It seems like tons of stuff that just goes back to Pope Francis. Pope Francis adds up to 59. And I said Jimmy Carter and George Bush were 111 days apart, and they were both 91 this year. But 111, the 111th day is the same day Queen Elizabeth was born, but also September 11th is the mirror day, where there's 111 days remaining until the end of the year. And remember, George H.W. Bush gave the New World Order speech exactly 11 years to the day before 9/11 happened. Right here, September 11th, 1990, toward a New World Order speech. So, for whatever the reason, I was just thinking about it at work, how 9/11 can be 9/11, but in England, they would write it as 11/9. So, I thought of November 9th, and also September 11th. And I just checked them out, you know. Let's check out November 9th then. Sorry. November 9th, a very interesting day because there's 52 days remaining until the end of the year. The 52nd prime is 239. It's the 239th year of the United States. Tons of other stuff. If you do the 923 and 23-9 are the same thing. If you do them as a date or whatever, Pope Francis came to the White House at 923. On 923, he's the 266th Pope. 923 is the 266th day of the year. But anyway, November 9th is also the 313th day of the year. Pope Francis became the Pope on March 13th, kind of like 313 of the year 2013. Interesting too, these 2 days then are a span of 59 days apart. Pope Francis adds up to 59. Also want to point out that the word kill adds up to 59. I've talked about how I think they're going to assassinate Obama, the Pope, or Queen Elizabeth, or all three. There's something to do with death and involving one of them, 3 people, or all of them, or whatever. But kill is 59. Pope Francis adds up to 59. I also just took November 9th then, and I went to Pope Francis's birthday. It'll be his 79th birthday this year. Or he was born in 1936, but it's a span of 38 days. Another interesting day. or amount of days, because the word death adds up to 38 as well. So anyway, just wanted to make a quick video, I guess. And just to point out the 91 connection once again, dealing with Miami. I don't know, maybe 911 or the 119 or the 911 has something to do with the 91 as well. And honestly, if you watch this whole clip here, the refs don't even know what's going on, or they act like they don't know what's going on, because the one guy's knee was probably down. It looks like it's down to me, but who knows? I didn't watch it that close. But I mean, it's just so scripted and rigged. It's ridiculous. But whatever. We're gonna leave it at that. I'm gonna try to make a few more videos tonight. So have a good one.